Okay, now we're going to look at stored procedures. We've already looked at how you can create a view and store a SQL select statement in the database. Well, a stored procedure is also stored inside the database, but it's not a view in the normal sense. Instead, it's actually a program. What you do is take some SQL statements and wrap them up and turn them into a program. So let's take a look at what we've got here. First of all, I've got a select statement. We're going to look at create a stored procedure to list the courses by department. I've got a select statement here that is just a run-of-the-mill select statement with a join to get out course and department. Let's go ahead and run this thing and see what it produces. Poof. Okay. So what it is just it lists out departments and the courses they offer and the number of credit hours. So it's joining together department and course. Nothing terribly exciting about that. But maybe this is a procedure we're going to run again and again, and we want to be able to easily invoke it from a program like a website or something like that. We could take this code here and wrap it up inside a stored procedure. And in this case, I'm creating a procedure named Departments and Courses. And just like views, we have a drop procedure if it exists here first to delete it, and this allows us to change it and run it again and recreate it very easily. Now there is a big difference from working with views. This select statement lives inside the procedure. So here's the beginning of the procedure and there its end. And inside, we might want to have multiple SQL statements, and when we have a SQL statement, we want to end it with a comma. The question is, how does the MySQL understand that this ends this statement and doesn't end the procedure? Well, in order to use semicolons inside the procedure, we have to temporarily change the delimiter, and that's what we do here. Here we're saying change the delimiter from the standard semicolon to a double $sign. Okay? So when the MySQL, once we've executed this delimiter statement here, when MySQL gets to this semicolon here, it doesn't treat it as the end of the stored procedure. It just stores that as a part of the stored procedure, the comma. And later, when the stored procedure is actually executed, then it will treat that as an individual select statement living inside the stored procedure. Here's the delimiter that ends the create procedure. So that's like a semicolon in this case. And once we're done creating the stored procedure, then we return the delimiter back to being just a semicolon instead. So let's go ahead and run this script as it stands, and we'll create the stored procedure named Department and Courses. So I'll go ahead and run this thing. And we got a result down here, drop procedure, create procedure. Both of those statements work. Let's go take a look over here in college. Let's refresh it. And underneath stored procedures, dadgummit, it's not showing up. It is under here right now. But let's refresh this again. No, MySQL is misbehaving. It's not showing up. Normally it would be listed in here, just like tables are listed under tables and views are listed under views. But MySQL does have some bugs. At any rate, the stored procedure exists. And now, how do you invoke it? Well, you do this. You do a call statement to execute the stored procedure, and it runs like that, and the output comes. So it's very handy in programs, for example, to invoke a simple stored procedure, and that means that the program code, be it Python or C++ or C#, whatever it is, that program code calls a stored procedure without having to know anything about the SQL inside of it. And it allows you to change the SQL without tearing the program apart and having to recompile it. So procedures are very handy in that way. Stored procedures are. You just create and begin a procedure, you end it with your change delimiter, and then you have as many different kinds of statements that are inside of it. And oh, by the way, when you select a range of code like this, you can press the tab key to indent it or shift tab to outdent it. I like to indent the statements inside of a procedure because it makes it a little bit easier to see where the begin is in the end. So to recap, we've created a program inside that is stored inside the database, and we can invoke it like this with a call statement. It's different than a view because in a view you would have to use a select star. You can't use a procedure name in a select statement. Instead, you do a call, and that will invoke the procedure and produce the results.